Welcome to the Offer Your Voice podcast. I'm your host, Michelle.
And I'm your host, Jeana.
And we are so glad you're here with us today. And today I am very excited to introduce to you some very dear friends that are family that I have known for the way back years, yes. Vicki and Vince Welch. They are here with us today, and we are so excited.
Thank you for having us.
And I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know you guys over the years, too. So you're like family to me also.
That's right. That's how we roll.
That is how we
Friends that are family. You guys know.
Yes.
What we want to do is share with our podcast viewers your story, Vicki and Vince, the things that the Lord is doing in your life currently, how the journey of faith that got you to the point of where you are in Tanzania, East Africa, and even my connection in that as well over the years. We're excited to hear what's happening. So let's get to it.
All right.
Share with our folks about your life.
I'll start us off if that's okay. I've known Michelle for a long time. Michelle was very instrumental in introducing me to a life of prayer and life in the Word of God. So we have a lot of history.
We do. We have amazing,
especially
history.
Over BLTs.
Yeah. We did.
I think we've polished a few in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
And grown in the Lord in the process.
Yeah, well, you guys would always say you were taking me and Polly to raise, coming college
claim
students.
You on our taxes.
Exactly, because we would always eat dinner over at your house all the time, and always enough is always more than enough with you guys. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where all of that began is really... I've known the Lord since I was 13 or 14, went to college, Bible college, and really seeking the Lord. But I think there was another level awaiting me. And I think that was introduced when we moved to Georgia and met Michelle and did some things with prayer.
I remember Michelle and one of her friends, Holly, coming over quite a bit. And I just saw the connection that you two had with Vicki, and they were just very instrumental in our lives. We had two young daughters at the time, and they just loved them like they were aunts. And
100%. I mean, really, your youngest daughter, Mackenzie, you were pregnant with her, and Madison was a toddler when we actually knew you.
Yeah, and you were helping us paint nursery furniture.
Absolutely. That was amazing.
Crazy. And now Madison has 3 daughters of her own.
Yes.
So that is
incredible.
Beautiful.
3 beautiful granddaughters. Tell us, before we go any further, you've got to tell us about those beautiful granddaughters.
Well, we do have 3 beautiful granddaughters, Liberty Joy, 5 years old, Ember Love, 3, and Josie Dove is 11 months.
Amazing.
So,
wow.
And they all have the wild hair.
They all have wild hair. They all started with wild hair. Libby's is a little more calm now, but
we don't know where they get it from.
Hey,
the fun hair is what you say.
That's awesome. I love it.
I love it too. So I just want to share with the folks, because I know that a lot of times when people hear people doing sort of great exploits for the Lord, and you're doing things overseas, and you have this amazing ministry that you really built from, that the Lord through you built through your hands and your connections and the doors that He opened for you. When people hear that, it sometimes feels overwhelming. Like, how can I be a part of that? How can I? What is it that was the catalyst, I would say, to your journey to get you to where you are right now?
I think Vince has always kind of been called to the mission field, and it's something we talked about early on, but I think there was a lot in our relationship, our marriage, a lot of maturing that we needed to do before any of that ever happened. And I think it was not something I really ever... I went to Montana in college and cried. I felt like it was another country.
You were homesick?
Yes. Yeah. So knowing that I've lived in Tanzania for over 13 years now is nothing short of a miracle if you're basing it back on those days. So I would say a catalyst is really just growing in prayer and giving my yes to the Lord on...
That's good.
On
sort
every...
of like the Isaiah, "Here am I, Lord, send me."
Yes.
That you had that feeling.
Yeah. So...
I think one of the challenges was I was probably 45 at the time, and I knew the Lord wanted me to be on the missionary field, but I was just questioning, is it ever really going to happen? and that led into our church going and visiting Tanzania, and Vicki was a part of that team. And
yes.
and the Lord began to speak
We
with
got
her.
to do that in 2005. I was on that team as well, and it was an incredible. I mean, we fell in love with Tanzania. I always tell everyone that Tanzania reminds me of the Southern hospitality because everybody wants to host you well. If you come over, they want to give you a soda pop. There's like this, it's just this sort of, and then even Swahili to me is a little sing-songy language.
It is.
Sort of like a Southern accent, So I felt kind of at home. I remember when we were there, but I know that you had a sort of profound moment when we were there in 2005.
Yeah, we somehow managed. Thankfully, OSHA is not in Tanzania, but somehow we managed to get on top of a David Livingstone hotel.
Yes. Tell the podcast folks a little bit about David Livingstone.
He was one of the first missionaries in Tanzania to evangelize Africa, really. And so there was a hotel in Moshi at the base that I don't know if it was named after him or if he's the one who founded it. It was the Yeah. And so it was being worked on, torn down, but somehow someone gave us a tour of that hotel, and we went on the top of the building, and we kind of had prayer and worship and declaring the word.
Little djembe. I remember playing that little djembe.
Yeah, and it was on the top of that building in the town where we currently live in Moshi, that the Lord spoke to me in a whisper and said, you could do this. It wasn't, you're going to move to Tanzania in 7 years and you're going to do all these things. It was you could do this. And so when I went home, I told Vince about it, and Dusty and Marlena, which was the pastor's son, and his wife moved to Tanzania. We began to support them, pray for them, and where you invest time and money, your heart's going to follow.
That's right.
So that's kind of how we got there, I think.
Right. And I remember when Vicki came home, I was very excited to hear, this is what the Lord was saying to me. And I was like, maybe it's going to happen now. And I was like, gosh, I'm 45 years old and just now starting on this venture. And we had 2 young daughters at the time. And so we just began praying about it and seeking the Lord. Like Vicki said, we began to support Dusty and Marlena and pray for them. Those you pray for, your heart tends to bond with them.
That's right.
And the Lord will, need your heart with them. And they began to, we kept in contact with them, and they were under, they had created a non-government organization, actually humanitarian organization.
NGO for Tanzania.
And so they, and it was growing, and they give us a call one day asking would we be interested in going.
And one kind of cool thing was we did a sort of little mini missions trip a couple of weeks over Holly's spring break from school, where Holly and myself and Vince went so he could go as well to take some time with Dusty and Marlena there and pray and just feel the same agreement that Vicki had felt in that moment at the Livingstone Hotel. Oh. And that was in 2010, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then it was just a couple of years later so how did that come about?
Really, whenever they ask us, I think Vince and I went over in 2007. Mm-hmm. You and Holly and Vince went over in 10. And then I think it was shortly after that if we were going to move our girls. 2011, we took our girls over.
Right.
And they were 10 and 12 at the time, because they didn't know what Africa was like, or Tanzania. Sure. So
you were going as a family, so you wanted to have them on board and make sure that how they felt as well.
Because Madison was very apprehensive about moving. She had, as an established friend set.
Sure.
And so I don't know what was in their minds of what they thought it was going to look like. So we went over and we actually introduce them to the community over there, so they could see the missionary community, so they could see if they had friends.
Right.
And I think I took Mackenzie over, and while she was there, she literally, on her first trip across the pond, right, literally ate a tadpole. First time in Tanzania, and she's like, Mom, guess what me and my friend did? We ate a tadpole. And I'm like, and Vince is not with me. I've taken the girls on my own to Tanzania, and I'm like, how is this going to end? So it was an adventure. Okay. She was great. Yeah. She was great. And Madison went from not wanting to go to Tanzania to actually, we looked at homes to where we possibly might live. And she transitioned from, I'll stay with this person, and this person while you go to Tanzania, to, oh, look, this person can stay in this room and we can host this person.
Right.
So
That's
she
so
had
good.
a change of heart while we were there.
That's awesome.
So good.
And Madison really is a worship leader. She's, you know, I know when I was there several times she would lead worship.
Yeah, writing songs,
Yeah,
everything.
beautiful, beautiful. And Mackenzie, with your artwork, in fact, your logo for the Binti Project was designed by your youngest daughter, Mackenzie.
Yes.
That's beautiful, and still using it to this day.
Yeah.
So tell us just a little bit about the project and how did Binti come about, and tell us about Binti.
In 2013, we were in a local Tanzanian church, and they were wanting to do several ministries for the upcoming year. And Vicki had spoke up and said, why don't we just take one ministry per month to see where the Lord is breathing.
Focus on it.
And let's focus on that. So the month of February.
And see where the Lord's sort of breathing life onto it.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
On the month of February, we decided it would be going out to the red light district to work with women who were selling themselves on the streets.
While we were there on the streets, like 25 women gave their heart to Jesus.
Wow. Amazing. And that was the very first time you went out for that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was just powerful. But the only problem was whenever they walked away, they went back to selling themselves.
Because they didn't have any other way to have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're
They were
like, wait a
supporting
minute,
themselves and their children.
wait a minute. This is not how this is supposed to work. So we started with maybe doing a discipleship and said, okay, maybe we'll disciple them. They need to actually learn how to walk in Christ and do those things, right?
Right.
And so we did that, but it still was not working. And so Vince began to research, and you can share.
Right. I started reaching out to some international organizations that were working with sex trafficking and prostitution, ladies that were in prostitution. And the one thing they kept telling me was, you have to get them off the streets. You have to have a residential program. And at that time, we had $0 in our budget for anything like that. But the Lord just really, the missionary community came together, helped us with beds, helped us with, cooking supply, bedding, everything that we needed, because we had nothing. And we had a banquet that we invited all these ladies to, that they came to, and 11 of them decided that they wanted to leave the streets. And so we were trusting the Lord. If people know Tanzanians, they kind of just jump in and do. And so it can be a big
step of faith.
Yeah, step of faith. Or a moment of panic. Or
pushing you off the ledge, either one.
And I admire them for that. And so we really learned a lot our first year. We had 2 graduates out of that program.
Right.
And then
that finished the program fully.
Right.
Yes.
Good.
And then the church decided to go their own way, and we went our way. And so we decided to have a name change. So we changed our name to the Binti Project.
Okay.
Well, we were originally the Beloved Project, right? And we loved the bee. We had all these dreams of, the boutique or the brew, as far as like coffee and things like that. And but we're like, we like the bee, but so we want to keep it. And so I think Michelle was with us in Tanzania with Mandy and Brian.
Yes.
And we were sitting there and we were talking like.
And we loved Beloved, but it's also an English word.
Right. And Mandy was like, we need to be the Daughter Project, daughter. And like just talking, because we were dealing with daughters, right? And so I said, well, what's the Swahili word for daughter? And Vicki, our current manager, answered Binti. And I'm like,
perfect.
Binti. It's the Binti Project. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
You got to be a part of that naming.
That's really
I
awesome.
love that.
I know, it's incredible. Yeah, I remember even when it was Beloved and Melissa had done those beautiful pictures with the ladies and then but because the heart of it is that these are God's beloved daughters that He wants to rescue out of a grip of a system that keeps them impoverished in such a way that they have to do something that is beyond themselves, even for their children. And that's the other part of the Binti that I love, is that helping rescue also the children that are from.
Absolutely.
So how's that looked over the years? You had 2 graduates out of 11 students.
Right. And we, I still was doing a lot more research. We were trying to attend as many seminar and training events as we possibly could to understand what we were doing and what we were dealing with.
Yes, because you really were dealing with trauma issues. You were dealing with, you even had, you had to help folks who had acquired HIV and help them come to, through a health system. There were so many things that you had to
literally a full body.
Right. It really is, because when you think about these ladies that we were ministering to, they were broke in every area of their life, and we tend to think of sin as just being, a spiritual issue, but their finances were broken, their relationships were broken, their, the relationship to our Heavenly Father was broken.
Right.
And so, we really realized that we need to come up with something that is holistic for these ladies.
Well, I think our first year, we were doing the best we can. We tried to do Bible studies all day long, right? Let's get the Word of God in them, right? And so we tried those things, and not that the Word of God is, I'm not lessening that. However, you cannot.
Well, there were practical elements,
right,
to help them to meet them where they were, and it is. The Bible's clear. It's like you have to have the milk before you can have the meat. There's like a process,
right,
to be able to take in the nourishment of God.
Yeah, so we always say that first year was incredible in so many ways, but the biggest things we learned is what not to do.
Right.
Right. How
That
not
makes
to
sense.
run a project that first year. So
one of the things that was on my heart whenever I would come to share with the ladies was the Father heart of God.
Yes.
Teaching
and the orphan spirit.
And the orphan mentality and spirit, the way that people feel sort of cast to the side, or that they have to get and grab when the Lord's like, no, you're my child, and I love you, and I have everything you need in me. But yet the reality of where their life was and how the journey into that revelation had to be connected to the things that you're talking about in the practicalities, as well as prayer and the Word and teaching and discipleship. It was both and to help them.
Absolutely. And even beyond that, it was dealing with spiritual strongholds and demonic activity, generational things.
Because they're really in Tanzania, really across the earth. It's not just in Africa, but you do deal with sort of tribal and ancestral worship patterns. And those are things that I think probably folks in America don't think too much about, although in America we still have generational things that we need to deal with. But there is almost this worship that happens of ancestors.
Yeah.
That has to be.
And witchcraft in general.
Right.
I think one of our first major experiences, and you would have met this girl because of you coming over. We were working with her and praying with her, and some strange things were happening. And in the spirit, all of our names were, and sorry if you can't quite understand in the spirit, but we didn't quite understand it either in the moment.
You were like, okay, what are we encountering here?
Right. Yeah. What is happening? But all of our names were written on her arm, and it was basically a kill list.
That she had actually written to,
or was sent with this from a witch doctor, from whoever, to destroy those working at the Binti Project.
Let me just say to the folks. So you're telling me, Vicki, that there are such things as a witch doctor in Tanzania?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a real deal.
It's a real deal.
It's a real deal.
Yeah.
You've seen it, encountered it.
It's not storybooks or scary bedtime stories.
Yes. So when you're talking about rescuing these ladies, these daughters of God, you're rescuing them out of the grips of the realm of darkness, really.
Absolutely. And we had no clue. Now, we went to Bible college. We felt like we got or received a great education.
Sure.
But there was no practical
life experience. You begin to
how
see
to cast out devils. But when you're launched into a ministry like this on the street with this kind of activity, we thought, how do we learn to do this? And the Lord literally threw me in the deep end and was like, you're going to learn by doing. You're going to be learn by being a part of it.
Well, if you think about the scriptures, the scriptures say these signs will follow them that believe
In my
in
name.
my name.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that we really felt very strong about is that generally these are God's children.
Yes.
They weren't spiritually His children, and we wanted to make sure that we would honor these women.
That's right.
Because
it's beautiful, Vince.
They're so.
They've been abused in every way.
One of the things that Vicki and I felt strongly about is making sure that we'd honor these women.
Yes.
In the ministry, because especially when they have they're just so broken,
Right.
and in that brokenness, they're dealing with trauma, and when they would come to us, they'd make decisions that, like, where are these decisions coming from? And really the left side of the brain shuts down to protect them. So there's no rationale or logic to sometimes their behavior or their decision-making process, and to want them to be, okay, they've accepted Jesus and their life is just going to be radically changed. And we believed in that, but we didn't see that. I mean, it was peeling away the onion layers in their lives
So you had to get them on a kind of physiological, psychological, holistic kind of reality, because of, like you said, when trauma happens and enters, which we've been talking a bit about trauma, because Jeana has a psychology degree, and we've talked about that, being trauma informed. This episode of the Offer Your Voice podcast is sponsored by Brown Dog Coffee Company in beautiful downtown Burgaw, where we micro roast our coffee daily.
Come see us at the shop, 103 West Fremont Street, for great coffee and good vibes.
Or visit us online at browndogcoffeeco.com.
And the reality is that these women want to be seen.
That's
and
right.
you guys see them.
Yes.
You see them wholly,
Yeah.
Yes.
and you see even their potential, what they can't see.
What they can't
and
see
that's
yet.
this beautiful place that, you're calling them higher
Yes.
because you can see it, because you've experienced it and you know what's true. But then when they can see it, I'm sure that is absolutely breathtaking to watch.
Michelle had said something earlier that, the heart of God and how good He is. When we are talking with the women or the young ladies that we deal with, they don't understand that.
Of course.
They don't understand that concept. It's a very foreign concept to them. So it really takes the Holy Spirit enlightening them and opening up their eyes, really giving them revelation of how good our God is.
Yes.
And what are the ages of the ladies that you work with?
When we first started, we were working with 18 and above.
Okay.
And we went straight to the streets, brought them home. Basically, if they were willing to come off the streets, we would bring them home into the residential program. It was just a residential program. So anywhere from 18 above were the ladies. And as we progressed through this, now we're actually working with 12 years old and up through our current program. So I think, though, when we, just to go back to dealing with the whole person, that's when we first started, we were really looking at Bible study, which was got to get them saved, got to get them saved. That's the only thing that's important, right? And
the urgency of eternity.
Yes,
sure, yeah.
But what we realized was the scripture. I forget where it's at. I think it's in Corinthians, but someone can correct that. But it is. I pray that you would be in health and that you would prosper just as your soul prospers, right? Which means it's not just your spirit, it is your soul and your body, right? Prosperity deals with every area of our life, our relationships, our finances, our bodies, our spirits, right? Our mind, will, and emotions, which is where your soul is or what your soul is. So we had to begin to focus on that. So our first 5 years of really doing this type of ministry, we felt like we were spinning our wheels a bit. Like we would get a group of girls in, we would focus on getting them to know the Lord, and we couldn't figure out the other components that needed to be in the program.
It was sort of like you had some pieces of the puzzle.
Yes.
But not all of the pieces that would begin to make it be even more successful for them to graduate and have this discipleship
Yeah.
experience.
What we
and
did
health and
realize
wholeness.
was we need to keep them busy.
Yeah.
Because what was happening, there were fights breaking out in the downtime, right? Because we didn't have something set in place. So we said, let's hire someone for sewing to teach them how to sew. And we didn't really have that much money in our budget. So we hired someone 1 day a week, and then we increased it 2 days a week. And it was Vicki, actually, our current manager, my current bestie,
Yes,
sister,
that's right.
family. And we ended up hiring her full time. And what we realized was she wasn't afraid to tell us the truth. And Vicki came to us. I think we were focusing on body, soul, and spirit. And we hired someone to teach them how to sew, thinking, okay, we'll give them a skill.
Sure.
And over those 5 years, we would graduate a few girls. We were partnering with Mandy and Brian at the time. They were there, and we
Another
were
missionary couple.
Another missionary couple, and we were doing everything we knew to do to help these girls. But we were doing all of it. It was the Mandy, Brian, Vicki, Vince show.
Right.
And I remember the Lord speaking that even though we were doing a good thing, it wasn't a wise thing. And when we leave the country, how is this ever going to survive without us?
It's good.
Because we would go home
And things would.
fall apart.
Right.
So we
Raising
said,
up leaders.
empowering
Tanzanian leaders. Yes.
leaders.
Yep,
And
that's
so
right.
the Lord began to, number one, provide for us financially to actually hire people, right? No more volunteers. We needed people we could count on, who didn't have full-time jobs themselves.
Yes.
And so we began to hire people and began to pour into them our vision, our heart for the ministry, do empowering, which is when you came and started training on the Father's heart and all of those things like that.
And so we had actually transitioned a little bit, and we were thinking about, okay, what can we do to prevent these ladies from going to the streets?
Because all their testimony was the same, right? In the 7th grade, around 7th, 8th grade, if you don't pass your national exam. Now, they're working to change this. But if you could not pass your 7th or 8th grade exam, you were no longer allowed to go to school unless your parents had money to send you to a private school or send you to tutoring. So most impoverished families, there was no way for them to send their kids to school.
Right. And what that led to in some of these girls' lives, depending on what tribe they were coming from, some would have prearranged marriages. So they'd
Very,
be
very young.
very
Yes.
young and married to much older men. And then others would be sent away to be what we call a house mama, where they would cook, clean, and possibly do some nannying for the family. So what we were finding that many of these girls were experiencing SA in their lives. So
Right.
we realized, okay, let's start going after those girls.
Yes.
So
Well, how do we help them? How do we reach the girls?
Like it's like a rescue.
Because what would happen is they would end up pregnant or they would end up on the street and a friend would find them and they would say, don't worry about money. Let me teach you how to make money. Right? And so they would take the girls to the streets, and on their first night, the person who would break them in would give the girl, the one who was bringing them to the streets, the money. She would eat that money while these things were happening to the girl on being broken in.
Right.
And so she
Violated.
wouldn't get,
Yes.
violated. And so she would have to do that again on the same night. And she would take the money and she would say, I will never do this again. She takes that money home, but it runs out. And she's still in the same situation. So she says, just one more time, right? And that one more time.
Because they have to eat.
Yeah. The
Yes.
one more time becomes I need drink, I need drugs, I need something to numb the pain,
Right.
to prepare myself to be tough enough to endure what I'm about to endure when I go to the streets.
Right. Right.
So we needed to figure out a way to reach them before the friend reached them.
Right. Right. Which is why you went, instead of the 18 and above, you had to actually go to the younger help to rescue some of the younger ones.
Well, we did. We originally kept to the 18-year-old, but what we did is say we need to open up a vocational training school. We had been wanting to do something like that, and so as we were processing with Vicki, the three of us dreaming and talking about it, we said we don't just want to give them skills, because there's a lot of training schools there that do a great job in training skills, and they go away with a certificate that says, look at me, I can sew, I can cook, I can do hair, but they don't have a job and they don't have the means to buy a sewing machine. So we said, if we're going to do this,
This is good. This is good.
we want to minister to the whole person. They're going to get discipleship.
Yes.
They're going to get vocational skills, and they're going to get a business startup
Yeah,
when they leave us.
That's the amazing thing is
Yes.
that this is not just a graduation program with a certificate.
Yeah.
This is actually a graduation program into
With the tools.
the tools.
Not just the mental
Right.
tools and the emotional tools and the spiritual
Right.
tools, but
Yes.
the physical tools.
to start a business.
start a
So
business.
that they don't have to rely on any of those things from their previous life, but they have an avenue for success and flourishing.
Right. And what we found, initially these girls didn't pass the national exam. They come home. The family are seeing this girl as a liability. They don't know what to do with her, but they know if she remains in the village, she's going to get pregnant and therefore complicate her life even more. And even though we believe babies are blessings from the Lord,
Right.
a young unwed mother and these things happening to her becomes very challenging to her. So we just started thinking, what can we do? So we started working with our ward officer, who is a social worker, and said, we need you to pick 9 girls from your village. This is what we're looking for. This is the criteria. And so he started sending 9. The 9 became 12. Then it
Well,
became
our first semester was 9 students, right?
Right.
Training them, and we thought 6 months would be enough.
This is the 18 and under of this part. This
no.
portion.
This
this
was
is our-
still 18 and up.
Okay.
Right, because we still had the residential program
right.
for girls coming off of the streets.
Yes. Okay.
And so we started doing the
vocational
day
school.
program for girls, preventing them from going to the streets.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we started developing that, and we realized, okay, 6 months wasn't long enough, and then we began to get involved in these girls' lives and realize what was happening to them. And we were like, we're working with social welfare. Can we bring these girls in? We're finding
Realizing the younger ones then needed to be included.
Absolutely. Yeah.
that because we were realizing some of them were in horrific situations that
Yes.
they needed out.
Right,
And
right.
and the parents knew nothing about. And so we started opening up the home to much younger.
So what you're saying is you had a vocational school that was like a day school for the younger ones,
Yes.
and then your residential program was for the 18 and above.
Right, but
Yes.
our 18 and above would participate in our day program because we
Right.
knew
Yeah.
that
They
they
needed-
needed skills,
they needed
because
the
when
skills.
they're done with us, they need some training and a vocation. So what I really like about we're getting faith and opportunity together for
Yes.
these girls,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. Faith and opportunity.
That is great.
and and we're seeing these girls' lives change. Not only do they now know Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
that they're making money now. They're an asset to the family.
Yes.
And they have a voice because they have money.
Well, we love that, right, Jeana?
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're reaching one girl at a time, but that one girl reaches one family. That one family reaches one community. That one community reaches one region. That region reaches
right. It's
all
continued.
of Tanzania.
Beautiful.
So,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and the ones matter too.
Yeah.
So that's
One
real.
matters.
Yes. Whether it's one at a time or 9 at a time or however
Right.
that looks.
So tell
right?
us about the current project. Like, what does it look like? And
wow.
okay,
Yeah, we started with 9, and currently we have 56 students.
amazing.
Wow.
Yep, and over 20 staff.
That's
Of
awesome.
24 to be exact, which includes
We have
some
19
interns.
staff and 4 interns.
So
That
yeah.
is exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot to manage, but it's beautiful and
it's running currently right now as you guys are here.
without us. It's running without us.
Yes, you're here in America, sharing with everyone. But the project that was birthed out of your hearts is running and impacting lives every moment.
Absolutely.
Good
Yes.
leaders. That's what good leaders do. They train up, right?
Yes.
Next, and then you,
Yeah, our staff are very capable of handling.
That's
There are some
amazing.
issues, but I mean, we can handle them.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
so-
Empowerment is your ability to trust someone with your vision, right?
Yes.
Trust them with what you hold dearest to you, and that we're still learning to take our hands off.
Sure.
But we trust them, and they carry our heart, but more than that, they carry the heart of the Lord.
Yes.
And you can't go wrong, right?
Exactly.
So
with the businesses, what kind of businesses do they
yeah.
begin?
Currently, we train them in sewing. We will provide them with a manual sewing machine, so it's a treadle.
So when they finish the program, they have a sewing machine?
yes,
If they're in our sewing program. they
That
will.
is amazing.
That is
Yeah.
And they'll have, we'll buy supplies for them for 3 months.
Wow.
And,
What a great step into building a business.
Yeah, we give them everything they need to sew several dresses. We give them zippers, lining, fabric, a charcoal iron, and something we've added over the last couple of years is a chair. You don't think about needing a chair to sit
Right.
at your sewing machine.
Right, of
But
course.
if you don't have money, you don't have money, right? So
Right.
you need a chair. So we buy the chair to sit in.
Yes.
And the same goes for the cooking class, for the hair class. We buy all the supplies they would need to start their own business.
So we're talking simple businesses, and which is
Sure.
something that these girls can manage. We teach them develop a business curriculum for these girls. So they'll have some simple business concepts, and if they work hard and make good choices, their future is changed drastically.
Well, being a woman-owned business myself with Brown Dog Coffee Company, and then Jeana and I together with Brown Dog Coffee Events, we are very excited to be a part of the Binti Project. Of course, over the years, I've had these connections and been able to travel over and share the Father Heart teaching and different things. But even for us, one of the things that we want to do, and we want our podcast listeners to know, that through Offer Your Voice and through the coffee shop, we're going to be partnering even more with the Binti Project to help these women. Like we have a business here in America, then them to start businesses in Tanzania, and the things that we can be a part of in that, and that you would be able to be a connection point for that as well.
Yes, exactly. And can you guys tell people how to support or get involved, whether it's, here as they're at Brown Dog Coffee getting their latte, or if they want to go online somewhere, how can they be involved?
Yeah. Well, just to give you a little financial estimate, for a business startup cost is only $300. We can start a business for $300. I think you can't even buy
Wow.
college books for $300 these
Right.
days.
Certainly not.
Right?
No,
but
like-
this person gets a whole business for $300.
Yes.
And so,
Well, I was going to say, and you did share with me last night that they could sponsor a student for $1,500 for
a whole year.
for the whole year of the program.
yes.
So-
And that includes the scholarship.
Yes.
And that feeds them, that houses
Yes.
them, that does all the things. That's
Medical.
their residential.
Yep,
Wow,
all the
that's
things.
Fantastic.
And just to put some numbers in perspective, we're going to possibly have 56 girls to graduate this year. So we're talking almost $17,000 in
Yes.
business startups for these girls.
Amazing.
So it,
But they can visit our website, thebintiproject.org/give, if they want to do
you may want to
that.
spell Binti for them.
BINTI.
Yes.
And we welcome the online community to become a part of Binti. We have a second campus now that
Yes.
we
Tell
are
us
working
about
on.
that. Tell us the story of how you felt about that you began to just feel like land was in your there was a next step.
Well, you can ask my husband. I'm the type, if you can't find a way, you make a way.
It's true.
So,
That's good and very necessary at
Yeah.
times in Tanzania and
Yes.
in America too.
yeah. And so I felt like we were supposed to get land. I felt that way for several years, and Vicki and I would get together and I'd say, Vicki, find us some land to look at. We just haven't found the right land. We need land. And I would push her, she would find places, and the Lord would be like, occupy until it's time. And so then we would look at our current campus and we would add to it, grow, and then I would get this little urge again, like, okay, we need to buy land, we need to expand, it's time for expansion, right? And so the Lord would be like, occupy until it's time.
Now, what does occupy look like? What does that mean in your land as you continue to utilize the space of your land?
Yes, that's exactly what it means. It means perfect and grow what you're currently working in. There's still more to learn. There's still more to add. There's still more to do before it's time to take that next step. And during all that time, we had just had sewing when I was first looking. So the Lord was like, you need more courses. How are you going to have a second campus until you get more courses, right? And so we added sewing, we added hair, and we added cooking to that. And so one day I felt the urge. I'm like, it is time for us to open the second campus. And I looked around and I told the Lord, I said, we're at maximum occupancy. I don't know where we're going to put another student. Where are we going to put another student? And he said, it's time. And I said, Lord, if it's time for us to do this, I don't want to be the find a way or make a way person in this scenario.
You want him to be the door opener.
Yeah.
Right.
I wanted it to be
For
very
his glory.
clear.
Yes, that's right.
Because I knew that in the future, we're growing so quickly. In the future, I would have the potential to say, look what I made happen and what have I done? What have I done buying a second property, right? And so I said, Lord, if this is you, if this is your will, and I don't think this is for every case and every scenario
this is just
that you pray
specific
this
to this,
way.
right.
But I said, if this is for you, from you, I want you to raise up somebody to take on the project of raising the $35,000 that we thought we needed to purchase this land. And it wasn't 2 weeks later that an old college roommate of Vince's, he had heard our story. We sat down and shared it with he and his wife, and he called and said, I just can't get this off of my mind. I feel like I need to raise the funds for this project. And that's exactly what he did. So shout out to Scott Dumont for hearing the voice of the Lord and actually raising and following through with what he did.
Right.
And so we purchased the land. We actually went through several pieces and got the land for $11,000.
Wow.
But all of the other money went toward wells, for helping with the drawing of the architectural things that needed to be on the land.
Yeah.
And when it came time to build the wall, and I thought to myself, it was only $11,000 to purchase the land. Surely it won't be much to build the wall. And I thought maybe $10,000. Well, $54,000 later, we have a giant 8-foot cement block wall around our
just
property.
Explain about because people don't necessarily in America have fences or walls around their homes, but in Tanzania that's common.
Yeah, it's very common. Number one, especially the nature of the ministry we're in is keeping our girls safe.
Sure.
So we build a wall to keep our people safe, and then you have a lot of things like sewing machines and equipment
that you want to protect.
Yeah. So it's very common for people all over Tanzania to have a compound or a wall to keep them safe.
Right.
So
amazing.
Yeah. So we have a wall.
So you have a wall. So what are the next step needs toward the project?
Well,
this is the secondary portion.
Right. We are currently dialoguing with the church now that want to come and build the classroom space and our chapel meeting areas. We've designed an area that it's all inclusive, that our teaching, our eating, and our chapel it's all happening in one area. So we're hoping that will start soon. We're trying to shoot for May, but we're not sure if that's going to happen. And once that happens, we can begin to start working with our local community.
Which means we need startup cost. I mean, we need sewing machines for every student. We need cooking supplies, refrigerators, stoves, chairs. We're going to need a dorm built for the resident students. We're going to need staff housing. We're going to need housing for teams and things like that. So there's a lot of things.
And when you say teams, you mean folks that come from other church organizations, maybe from America or Europe or anywhere, that want to have a helping hand, maybe for a couple of weeks or a couple of months to help.
Yep, and they need a place to stay.
And they need a place to stay. Okay.
And actually a place for us, because we'll be traveling back and forth. Our second campus is 2 hours away from where we are currently at now. And so it's a little remote. We're in a Maasai community, so we're very excited about that. And actually,
okay, so just for the folks on the podcast that may not know, tell us a little bit about the Maasai people.
If you watch National Geographic, these are the guys that jump real high. They tend to drink cow's blood. They're polygamists. Their wives usually have shaved head. They have lots of beaded jewelry.
A lot of jewelry,
and they wear kind of like a plaid wool clothing. The traditional Maasais do.
Right.
We have some modern Maasais, and so we are in the middle of this community, and their issue is, girls not passing their national exam. Well, when we were negotiating the land with them, they were only going to give us 3 acres. Well, we got them to 4. And then, I think the Lord got involved with it, and they gave us a 5th acre, saying that we want you to start working with our young boys that are at risk as well.
So we'll also eventually have a vocational training and discipleship school for boys as well.
Amazing.
Wow.
Which the culture will never change until you also disciple the men.
That's right. Yeah. It's a both and. Yes, that's incredible. So what if you could say, if you could just tell, our podcast listeners, what is it that is sort of right now in the dream of your heart to see happen for the Binti Project and the things that you all are doing in the now and in the future, in the now and the not yet? What would be the biggest thing that you would want to see happen?
I think for myself is not saying no to a girl or putting her on a waiting list, because we have to do that. We don't have this current space to address all the needs, and the need is big.
The need is great. Yes,
it is very big, and so just to be able to say, "Hey, we have a spot for you," and you don't have to wait a year or whatever to get into our program.
And for this new community, will it only be for the people, and not only, but will it be for that group of people there? You won't allow folks from other communities to...
No, actually, even our current campus, we have people coming from 8 and 10 hours away.
Okay.
Their families have heard about us.
Okay.
And they will send their girls in to live with an auntie or someone to come to our day program.
Okay.
So it is open to all of Tanzania.
I gotcha. Okay.
So any tribe.
That's good.
And I know we've talked previously, you have a heart potentially for this to be translated to other African nations?
Absolutely. My next country in my heart is Malawi. I want to be there. I've been there when we actually were
one of the most impoverished nations, really.
Yeah, and we went thinking that we would move. We were going to have to move out of Tanzania and started in another country. And Malawi was one of the ones we visited. And while we were there, it was so heavy. And we remember looking at this little group of girls playing on this hill, and we thought, oh, how sweet, until the girl turned to give us her side profile, and she had to be 8 months pregnant, this little 12-year-old playing with her friends because she's still a little girl. And
because
I thought
of the violation.
that we need to be in Malawi.
That's right.
And actually, we have some friends who've already gone over, and they're starting some things as well. They also see the need. So I know it's a country that's on the heart of the Lord.
Yes.
You guys are doing such beautiful work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so inspiring. It's like one of those things where like we don't want anyone to leave today saying, well, what am I doing? Because that's how I feel right now. Like, what am I doing with my life? No, but it's such a beautiful thing because really it hits the heart of so many places. And then not only are you helping these women, you're helping their children, and then you're helping the
Yes.
generations to come, as you
Yes,
said. And so
Exactly.
what that looks like it's immeasurable. And just a reminder to those who are here in America as well, or wherever they are listening from,
Right.
that they can do that where they are as well. And so how does that look? The one at a times. And so it may look very different than Vicki and Vince, but not being distracted by what you can put your hands to, what I can put my hands to.
That's
That's
right.
so good.
And so what does that look like? And we just all have to answer that.
And then
ask the Lord for
additionally,
that.
you know, how if this has moved on your heart, to be
Yes.
able to partner with the Binti Project
Absolutely.
and Vicki and Vince and the great work that they're doing. And I, you know, if you have any trust in our voices, I can just vouch for this couple. I love them very much, and we know that they are people who have a heart after Jesus, have a heart after God in every way, and are full of integrity. You know, I was just talking with someone at lunch today, and they were just saying how important it is to know kind of the places that you're sharing your resources with for the good, for the good of the one and for the many. And so I can just say that if you have a heart, if this has moved you, then this is a good resource to pour into, a good place to sow seed and share the things that may need to just to
Yes.
put your portion into
Yeah.
this beautiful project and the things that you're doing. And we're excited. And I hope I get to, of course, having the coffee shop, it makes it a little more difficult to travel to Tanzania these days, but I do hope that I get to go again. And I hope
Well,
Jeana
if someone would like to help Michelle come, we want her to come for this Maasai Women's Conference we're
Yes,
doing.
That's right. That's right.
And Jeana.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
It'll be so much
Awesome,
fun.
yeah.
It'd be offering our voices.
Yes.
The bintiproject.org
Yes.
/give
Yes.
if they want to give. If they want to find out more about the Binti Project, then they can go to Binti
Or
Project.
that, you know, there is a contact page if they want to go on and say,
Okay.
sign me up for your newsletter. I'd love to receive it. And there's a giving page. And, you know, we know we're sent. And other people just may not be able to go, but they can give to help people go
That's right.
and to do what the Lord's willing to do. Because I believe that this is an issue that if the church doesn't address, I hate to say shame on us, but we need to be addressing this
Yes.
issue.
Absolutely.
And
And-
not just in Tanzania, it's every
everywhere.
country of the world.
We need to be
Yes.
addressing this.
But to Michelle's point, if this has spoken, then
Exactly.
Yes.
give. And there's not an amount too small.
Yes.
That's
Not an
right.
amount too small.
Anything matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, your dollar goes a long way in Tanzania.
Yes.
Right. And I will say that you guys have really poured your life out before the Lord like a drink offering. You know, I having been to Tanzania even in short term, probably the longest stint that I was there was about 3.5 months, something like that, living with you guys. And it's not an easy path. We have a lot of conveniences in America that you have chosen to lay aside because you have such a heart to see these young ones rescued, these beloved ones, these daughters rescued. And that is a beautiful expression of God's heart. And so I just am grateful for you and for what you're doing. And that's not a negative on where we are in life, or where you are, but each one of us has something to give, something to offer. We can offer our voices. We can offer what is in our hand to give, to share, to show others the way. And so just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And we love you guys, and we can't wait to see all
Love you
that God
guys
is doing
too.
in the next on the next thing. Is there anything that you want to share, one last thing for the podcast listeners?
You know, some of the people may say, I can't give, but you can pray for us.
That's good.
That's good.
That's right, Vince.
Yeah.
You know, that you can pray for us.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
And you can share because you might know someone who can give.
That's right.
Right.
And this will be an easy access point to share. You know, Eden will set this up, and Kate get a little clip out, so it'll be easy to share just to your friends and get the information out there from the podcast and let them know what's going on in Tanzania.
But I'll say one last thing. Anybody that you meet, anybody you come in contact, Don't be quick to judge where they are in life. Recognize them as a daughter or as a son.
It's beautiful, Vicki.
Just
That we
think
all
about
have
who-
a value.
Yes.
We
That's
have the
right.
imprint of God upon us
Yes.
because He did that. He's the creator of us. So good. Well, thank you guys.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
until
so
next
much.
time, we'll see you down the road.